Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 45. I'm your under the weather host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the quarantined Mike Christensen.
We are just the diseased ones this week.
We are real rough sorts right now.
The holidays took their toll,
Yeah.
I guess is the way we would say it.
Surprisingly, I got the legacy virus, but I'm not a mutant, so I'm just congested.
It's funny, I got the disease on Heroes that was very clearly the legacy virus from X-Men. Much like many things on that show were X-Men
We're very much
knockoffs.
X-Men. Rewatch Heroes, guys. Great X-Men show.
Or don't.
Or don't watch it.
That show's worse than you remember.
Oh, boy. Okay, so guys, usually on our show, we talk about comics and the comics we read.
Jay, what you reading?
I am reading Scarlet Witch by Marvel Comics, written by James Robinson and drawn by Vanessa R. Del Rey. This comic is pretty great, and I feel like I've had a run recently of just comics that are like, hey, it's the first time they've got a series unto themselves, and like it's almost a reboot of the character. Surprise!
Like Vision
and Martian Manhunter.
Right.
But basically, this comic is kind of I say reboot a lot, it's more of a rework. Because Scarlet Witch forever, and the writer actually talked about this. I read a pretty cool article where he talked about when people think of Scarlet Witch, it's like, hey, tell me about the Scarlet Witch. They often describe her by like things that have happened to her, or things that like she did. It's like, oh,
House of M, Decimation.
Yeah, she's crazy, or she has like reality warping powers.
Avengers Disassembled.
Her dad's Magneto. Like all those things are just really what has happened to her or her family heritage.
And most of them, at least with all events I was listing, in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and really she like is mostly defined by those things. And the writer was thinking, there's a personality there, there's a character. Like, I've loved this character when I was younger. I want to kind of put a new spin on it and actually give her something that you can dig into more than just, oh, she went crazy and is like a mutant maybe. So now after Secret Wars, a lot of things has changed for Scarlet Witch. She's no longer Magneto's daughter, apparently.
Okay.
Which I didn't know about, but I guess that's a thing now. And also, yeah,
I just assumed
it'll go back. She'll be Magneto's daughter again.
I assume
next year.
that, yeah, exactly.
She's the secret daughter of Magneto. And also, she's not a mutant. It wasn't 100% clear.
I heard about that,
All those things are really weird. So basically, the board has been cleared.
Yeah.
And this first issue, as of the time of this recording, there is only one issue out. But it's a great starting point for Scarlet Witch. If you don't know anything about her, and I don't really, it's a great way to just reintroduce yourself to the character, because it starts off basically saying, look, I've had some things in my past, but like, let's start over. Basically telling the audience, like, here we're going from step one.
Yeah.
And
if all you know about me is that I was in a movie, that's all you need to know.
That's all you need
to
know.
Hey, guess what? They did not call her Magneto's daughter or a mutant in that movie. What a surprise that they're not calling her that now.
And the thing kind of kicks off with her, like, she lives in a castle in Manhattan. I don't know, but it's great. But
right.
and she has a ghost pal, Agatha Harkness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Agatha Harkness, who taught her magic, and then she also killed. So she, like, hangs out with her.
Oh, Wanda killed.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Wanda killed. And Agatha kind of hangs out with her.
She did. She killed her in Avengers Disassembled.
Yep, that's correct. So Agatha hangs out with her as, like, her, like, witty ghost pal, like, cracking jokes in the morning as they're drinking coffee. It's great.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's nice that they can still get along.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. And this comic, the more I read it, it's not as much a superhero comic as it is like a supernatural, almost, honestly, it reminded me of Hellboy.
You do have a type.
I do have a type. In all of all of the really great ways, though, like the comic of Scarlet Witch and the comic of Hellboy are perfect examples of, like, these are stories that really can only exist in comics in really good ways.
Yeah.
Because the scenarios are so fantastical, or the art and the examples of them are so crazy that they almost come to life more in art than they would, like, on the screen. On the screen, you'd be like, that's bonkers crazy. That can't be real.
Yeah.
And this comic really lends itself to that. And that's a big testament to Vanessa Del Rey's art. She is amazing. She does a great job. There's a great character redesign. So Scarlet Witch has, like, a new outfit, and it's like a mix between maybe costume, but maybe like common day attire. But it works really well for the character. Obviously, a lot of new successful characters now getting costume reworks that work great.
Is that because she's no longer wearing a red corset? Because that probably goes a long way.
Yeah, that does go a long way, surprisingly. This opening story is very much a simple, almost like a supernatural supernatural case. She's called to a scene of something and things happen and so on and so forth. I won't tell you what it is, but it really sets up a really great new direction for the character, like what she does in Manhattan day in and day out. And also some, of course, like any first comic, a looming terror in the background.
What?
Yes, what's it going to be?
Nice.
But basically, it's just a phenomenal start for this character, for a character that I myself have never really, I would honestly say, cared too much about or knew too much about, but I love where they're taking her now. And they firmly put her and establish her in this comic. This is witchcraft. This is not mutancy powers. This isn't like I bend reality or whatever. This is witchcraft. There are rules, there are regulations, and that's something I personally enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I've never been a fan of just like, I warp reality, because then I'm like, well, when would you ever have a problem then? Like, I just need a bicycle. There's a bicycle. I'll just drop a house on you. There's a house. Like, what's the problem, right?
You have very specific ideas of what kind of problems you think.
What, you don't think most problems are solved by bicycles or dropping houses on things?
Again, the escalation was so bizarre.
Yeah,
there.
just immediately. Look, I relate all of my problem solving to Wizard of Oz, Mike. There's bikes in there. There's house droppings
Are there
in there.
bicycles in Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, I think the bike goes around in the We're getting off topic. Anyways, Scarlet Witch, guys, it's pretty great. Mike, what is your pull for this episode?
My pull list is also a Marvel comic for which there's only one issue out at the time we're recording.
Okay.
Patsy Walker, A.K.A. Hellcat.
Hey, Patsy Walker. Now, a lot of people might have recently become familiar with her because of Jessica Jones.
That's right. She is also called Trish Walker in A.K.A. Jessica Jones. Patsy Walker, the comic is written by Kate Leth, who was the writer for Power Up. The art is by Brittney L. Williams, and the colors are by Megan Wilson. And Patsy Walker, in our world, in real life, Patsy Walker was an Archie-style comic in the 50s. It was actually a line of them. It was like Patsy and Hildy, or whatever the side character's name was, basically her and her best friend. There was the Patsy Walker comic.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what the 50s comics were. Then later in Marvel continuity, they started making cameos in like Avengers and Defenders comics. And it was revealed that her mom, Patsy's mom, had written these comics about Patsy's real life.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, that was the in-canon explanation for why those comics existed.
Marvel comics and their like comic continuity
Yeah.
working into their stories is just bonkers.
And also, if you saw Jessica Jones, Patsy Walker and her mom,
Yeah, they don't have a great relationship there.
Where that comes from. Then she became a superhero. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to know that she died and went to hell. You don't need to know that she married...
Wait, what?
she-
That's right, she did.
And that she married the son of Satan, whose superhero name is Son of Satan. You don't need to know any of that. You don't need to know...
Wait. There's a superhero whose name is Son of Satan?
His name is Damian Hellstrom. His superhero name is Son of Satan.
Wow, he probably should have just stuck with the real name. That's a much cooler and unique name.
But he doesn't matter. What doesn't matter? The matter is that she is back and cool.
And not from hell at some point.
Well, she has powers that are mentioned. Basically, she can detect magic.
Wait, she has magic powers?
Yeah, she's got a little bit of magic powers.
That was not in Jessica Jones. Man, left a lot on the cutting room floor, those scenes.
The thing is that she's been showing up in comics sort of peripherally. You know, in the aftermath of Civil War, she was like one of the only superheroes assigned to Alaska. And it was just like a one-off joke, like, yeah, we sent Hellcat to Alaska. Boom, and then like we just saw her again in like whatever crossover, you know what I mean? But then she showed up in She-Hulk recently as a private investigator sidekick.
Right. That's where I think, wasn't that like probably her big re-entry?
Kind of, yeah, to a degree. And then this is actually giving her the sort of the Squirrel Girl treatment of like, hey, this is just a wacky comic written by a webcomic writer. Like, just here we go. Let's just enjoy some shenanigans.
Yeah.
The comic is all about the normal people who have superpowers, who aren't trying to like rob banks or fight crime. They're just trying to like pay rent.
Right.
And especially now that, because in recent crossovers, a whole bunch of people got more powers because of the whole Marvel wants the Inhumans to be a big deal.
Sure.
thing.
Because they don't own X-Men anymore.
I mean, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Point is, there's a lot more superpowered people running around. So this first issue is about her like meeting this guy who is having trouble like robbing stuff because he doesn't know what else to do. And she's like, hey, why don't you not do that? And then throughout that day, all these events happen in her life that are clearly going to pay off and introduce the new status quo.
Oh, interesting.
Of like, where is she living now, and who are the people in her life, who from her old life perhaps shows up. And basically,
Hell, Son of Satan.
basically the direction they're heading is that she is planning to, and again, first issue, we'll see if this pans out, planning to open a temp job agency for people with superpowers.
What?
Because it's very hard to get them jobs because it's like, oh yeah, like I'm a guy who's telekinetic, but I'm happy to be like your legal assistant, and everyone's like freaking out about that. But it's like, no, there's good jobs out there for those people, but the people aren't looking for that. So it's like,
right.
Basically, her whole thing is about looking at the corners of the Marvel universe that no one cares about.
That's pretty cool.
Which is an interesting approach of this idea, and it's just fun to see. You know, it's like the Batgirl approach of like, hey, 20-somethings, and it's like as a 20-something, I'm like, all right, cool, let's see what you got.
Let's see what's going on.
You got Marvel Comics. I don't know. It's just adorable. It's just like a fun, like very cartoony, very much unlike Jessica Jones in every single way.
I can imagine.
Oh my goodness.
There isn't any hardcore parent issues in this comic?
I mean, she had a bad relationship with her mom, but her mom passed away, and also there's like way less of all the dark stuff that's in Jessica Jones, which is an amazing TV series if you haven't watched it. But boy, that's an intense show.
Yeah, it is intense.
And this is not. This is just a fun, wacky, like shenanigans comic.
That's nice. That's great.
Check it out, guys. Patsy Walker, A.K.A. Hellcat.
Awesome. Well, that was a great pull, and that's on to our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Secret Origins number 36, Green Lantern. In the 80s, there was a comic book series called Secret Origins.
Right.
And it wasn't necessarily just like, here's a flashback. Because I think there's some amount of framing device going on, but also in the case of this specific story, they're also definitely setting up a new status quo for Green Lantern.
Really?
They're establishing like, hey, here's what he's been up to, here's like who he is, here's what happened recently and all you need to know about it and the only things you need to know about it, and here's some like interesting new stuff that's coming for him, basically.
Right.
This is issue 36 of Secret Origins, 1989, written and plotted by James Owsley, plot assisted by Robert Greenberger, and penciled by M.D. Bright. Okay. And it's actually double feature, so the other half of the issue is about Poison Ivy. We're not talking about that.
Whoa, what?
But we're talking about is, it starts with a flashback to one of the most iconic comic book scenes of all time from Green Lantern number 76, when this old black man approaches Green Lantern. I don't know if you know the scene.
I don't think so.
It's a scene where Green Lantern...
I thought you were going to talk about the crash-landed ship.
No. We'll flash back to that. But before we get there, flashing back to a much more recent event, it's Green Lantern and Green Arrow, and this old black man approaches Green Lantern and says, I've been reading about you, how you work for the Blue Skins, and how on a planet someplace you helped out the Orange Skins. You done considerable work for the Purple Skins. Only there's skins you never bothered with, the Black Skins. I want to know, how come? Answer me that, Mr. Green Lantern. And Hal Jordan is at a loss for words. Like, he's basically called out for not doing enough to help people who he knows he could help.
Wow.
It was a big deal.
Well, I can understand why that would be a famous panel.
Oh yeah, and the man's face, it's in the show notes, guys, but the man's face is just a masterpiece of all of the heartbreak that any human being has ever been through. Just like the wrinkles and the gray hair. It's a really well done comic. And basically he has to admit that he's been blind to the issue. He asks how he can help. But we cut to this little black boy with big, almost Urkel glasses watching. I guess they're on a roof, so he's like behind a chimney, but whatever.
So this old man was just like hanging out on a roof?
I'm not sure. I don't know the context.
Sure.
But this kid's watching. He's just stunned to see Green Lantern in his neighborhood. And afterwards, he approaches Green Lantern and asks if he's okay. And Lantern says he's fine. He's just been blind to the situation, but now he knows what he has to do and where he has to start. And he flies away, and this boy has this big smile on his face. And we jump ahead several years. The boy's name is Chip. And now he's a young man living in Los Angeles. He designs airplanes, but his test pilot has a broken arm. And Chip has been trying to find a temporary test pilot in the meantime. But he's rejected every pilot he's interviewed. We also see that his walls are covered with pictures of Green Lantern.
Oh, right.
Meanwhile, Green Lantern, in his civilian identity of Hal Jordan, is dozing off in Los Angeles traffic. Am I right?
Guys, we all sleep at the wheel?
Well, he's
traffic?
He's not used to Los Angeles traffic.
Okay.
And he's complaining about it, and then a cop actually like knocks on his window and says, hey, you need to like not do that.
You need to not sleep in your car on the highway,
Don't be doing what you're doing. He's been trying to get a job. Hal Jordan, not the cop. He's been trying to get
flash back to his secret origin? The cop's secret origin?
That's the Poison Ivy. No.
Oh, good. Whoa. Poison Ivy was a cop.
He's been trying to get a job, Hal Jordan has, but there apparently some villains some like enemies of the Guardians, who are the people who run the Green Lantern Corps, like trashed Hal Jordan's professional reputation.
Wait, really?
I don't know the
In
context.
like space newspaper? Like
No,
where did
like-
they trash it?
Like on Earth.
Okay.
So every ad that Hal Jordan has called about,
We'll get him through propaganda.
yeah, I'm just picturing like this multi-headed
Yeah.
insect, like
like some like gross creature that's like,
we will
yeah,
have vengeance of the
contact
Lantern
LA
Corps.
Times.
Put out an article in the Gossiper. Every time Hal Jordan's called about a job, he gets hung up on. So this time,
Wow, it's just very unprofessional. I mean, come on.
well, apparently his reputation's that bad.
Wow.
That's why for this ad, he's going to answer it in person, which is also not terribly professional.
No, also not recommended for anyone. If you're going for a job, don't just show up. Trust me.
Also, he's not going to the office. He's going to an apartment.
Oh, God. Also, definitely not recommended.
Anyway, he shows up on Chip's door, and Chip immediately points and shouts, "You," and then runs off to his room. Hal thinks, I knew my rep was bad, but this reaction's a bit extreme. I haven't even said my name yet. He goes after Chip, try to explain his case, rounds the corner, sees the bedroom covered with his own
covered
face.
in Green Lantern pictures.
And he's like, oh. And then Chip fishes out this drawing of Green Lantern's face out from under the bed. Although, it's not the best shot, but his face is in a lot of the pictures on the walls.
Yeah, so like, couldn't you look at your wall?
But anyway, he fishes out, and this is, again, maybe the best panel in this comic, and it's been memed. I've seen the meme of it a few times, where he pulls out a drawing of Green Lantern and says, "Here it is. Yeah, it is you. You're Green Lantern." And Hal says, "No, I'm not. Bye." And just
Good cover.
just leaves, just turns around, walks out the
No,
door.
I'm not. Bye. I have to go now. I don't want this job anymore.
Hal runs downstairs and drives away, thinking about how he should have designed his costume with a cowl.
Yeah.
Batman probably never runs into this kind of problem.
It's very true.
And he also kind of thinks like he found a fan and a possible job, but since he can't tell Chip his real name, he's going to lose both, probably.
I guess.
Then Chip, who's still in his bathrobe, runs up to the car because it's Los Angeles and Hal didn't get very far. Am I right?
Oh, man. All our Los Angeles listeners are so pumped right now.
We hate living here. I'm kidding. Chip runs up to the car and says, he's not trying to cause Green Lantern any trouble. He's just a fan. And if GL is looking for a job, and Hal says, like, he kind of has to admit, like, okay, I am Green Lantern. He doesn't say, and my name is Hal Jordan, because he hasn't said
He's
his
like,
name
hey,
yet.
I'll work for you if I can just put Green Lantern on my employee's paperwork.
And he says, let's just go someplace we can talk. So Hal makes a temporary Green Lantern ring for Chip,
Wait, what?
which apparently is a thing he can do. So Chip has a Green Lantern ring, and they have...
Wait, does his Green Lantern ring work?
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
He can just make duplicate Green Lantern rings?
yeah.
All right, sure.
And then Chip and Hal both flying around in costume, in Green Lantern costumes.
Of course.
Chip says, since the day he met Green Lantern, he's always wanted to fly. He studied aeronautics. He got an advanced degree and a master's in aeronautic design. He doesn't have the eyes to be a pilot, but he does design planes, and he lets the gremlins
That'd
do
been
the
great
rest.
as he says it, he just hits a tree. I can't see very well. Smack.
He says he lets the gremlins do the rest once he's designed the planes. The gremlins are the nickname for his coworkers at Elite Design
That's
Consultants.
nice.
Maybe it's self-imposed. I don't
It's
know.
the DC universe. They could be actual gremlins.
They might be. They're not. We'll see them later.
Okay, cool.
The two of them fly out into space, and Chip asks a whole bunch of questions. He's just really curious about Hal and how Hal became the Green Lantern. And Hal, wishes he could tell Chip his real name, but like he can't give him his social security number, can't give this job.
Right.
It's also been years since he had a close friend, but again, how close can he be with this guy he can't tell any information about
Hal doesn't
himself
have any
to?
friends?
Is that really that surprising?
I mean, kind of. He's a pretty charismatic guy.
His only main supporting cast members are Carol Ferris, who's the girl that he likes, who he works for.
And didn't she hate him forever and became his nemesis at some point?
She did become his nemesis at some point. I don't know if she hated him forever. His only other major main character was an Eskimo man who Hal nicknamed Pie Face
Go on.
because of Eskimo pies. He also has a comic in this issue where he flashes back to how he gets his nickname.
No.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was a different time.
It's a different time.
I mean, not different enough that they shouldn't have known better,
God.
but just different enough that they printed it.
I'm so glad I asked these questions.
Yeah, he has no friends. Shocking.
Okay, clearly. That last reason you gave me makes absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
His closest friend was a guy he called Pieface.
Yeah, because of Eskimo pies.
Yeah.
Because Hal's a racist.
Because Hal's a racist.
As
That
the
explains
old
everything.
black man pointed out.
Yeah. Wow, okay, it's all coming together now.
Hal tells the story that, we all kind of know, but I'll go over for those who don't.
Please.
A Green Lantern named Abin Sur, Green Lanterns are space cops. A Green Lantern named Abin Sur crashed a ship on Earth, and Abin Sur was dying, not apparently of injuries, but of a disease riddling his body. So
Was it the legacy virus?
it might as well have been.
Cool.
He commanded his ring to find a successor, someone it deemed worthy and completely without fear.
And that ring was very lazy, so it didn't go off planet. It just hung around Earth.
Hal was in a flight simulator when the ring brought the simulator across the planet to the wreckage of the ship. He found Abin Sur, the ring started translating the languages, because that's what rings do.
Yeah, it is like Doctor Who powers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a TARDIS. Abin Sur told him about the Green Lantern Corps, their space cops, and that because Hal is fearless and honest, he must become the new Green Lantern. He's given the lantern battery, which he must use to recharge his ring every 24 hours. And then he learns about how the ring responds to the force of will. If he believes it, he can do it. Then Abin Sur died, and Hal immediately vowed to be the Green Lantern, but to keep his identity a secret.
Good call, Hal Jordan.
Hal takes Chip to Oa, the former home of the Green
Whoa.
Lantern Corps. Yeah, I guess
Jeez.
they're there now.
This is like the best fan service ever.
It
for
really
somebody.
is. However, Oa has been abandoned and all the cities are in ruin.
Of course.
Because there was a great struggle and the good guys lost. Most of the Corps lost their power rings, which were sucked up into the main power battery, which is a big lantern on the
It's a
planet.
giant lantern.
And that itself was destroyed. So they go to it and it's all smashed up and there's all these rings just littering on the floor of the lantern.
How does he still have his... I won't get into that
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Chip hears a sound from a nearby building, and they fly in to find these newt-like aliens riding motorcycles, like flying motorcycles.
Like lizards.
Well, they look like they look like aliens. They got like a cool alien design and like newt-like faces.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And they're scavenging from the ruins. Chip can understand their language because of TARDISes.
Because TARDISes.
And Chip and Hal chase after the aliens. They end up in a dogfight. Chip puts up a shield to protect himself from a laser blast. The laser cuts through the shield and just narrowly misses him. Can you guess why?
Is the laser yellow, Mike?
Yes!
Oh, man.
That's when Hal mentions the ring's built-in impurity. It won't function on anything made of yellow.
Or anything close to the color yellow.
And he says, I suppose it's a safeguard against any one Green Lantern becoming too powerful.
Like who, Mike?
I don't know. Who can we think of? You know, that guy who dresses in yellow and uses a yellow ring.
Is it a guy whose name is so on the nose it's insane?
It's a guy who looks like the devil?
Is it Sinestro?
It is. I thought it was Nightcrawler. Yeah, it's Sinestro.
We were real close.
Chip and Hal catch the scavengers. By the way, Chip and Hal sounds like a good,
Yeah, that should be a comic. Chip and Hal.
It's like a cop show.
Chip and Hal.
I guess that's what we're
Rescue
thinking
lanterns.
That's what they're doing, basically.
Guys, go listen to that song again. It's great.
They load these scavengers onto the scavenger ship and just send it towards the home planet of the scavengers, but Hal alerted the authorities on that world, so it's cool. They'll get arrested.
Okay.
There's so many holes in this plan, but whatever. Chip says they should get back to Earth if they're going to get to work on time. And Hal's like, yeah. And he's thinking, I still probably can't take
that through
this
all
job.
of this, Chip is still really serious about his job.
Oh, yeah.
He's out in space. He's dealing with newt riding motorcycle guys.
Yep.
He's dealing with, crazy lasers and a dead planet world. And he's just like, guys, we do have to be back at work in 10 minutes, though.
Also, what time did Hal get to his... Was it 6:30 in the morning? Because they went to another planet.
They probably had space coffee, and we all know space coffee is really strong.
Anyway, back on Earth, Chip conjures a phone and calls his company, because that's a thing Green Lantern rings can do.
Again, anything they want to do.
As they talk, he conjures up an image of his coworkers, like it's a video phone, but it's only one way.
He invented Skype.
So Hal can see the other gremlins, who are not gremlins. There's Hawk, the pilot with the broken arm, who's currently chewing Chip out over the phone. There's Alice, who they call Al, who's the communications and administration, and also she's called a shark with a ledger, according to Chip. And there's Dex, the man who builds everything Chip designs.
Of course.
Are
you sure they're not establishing a Chip and Hal new status quo? 'Cause this sounds like an opening comic.
They are, because Hal's going to take that job.
That's amazing.
But also here's an interesting thing is that they made a very definite effort to do is that both Hawk and Dex and Chip are African American.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's very deliberately hey, let's get a more diverse supporting cast.
DC's like, we get it. Okay, all right.
For Hal Jordan, he needs one. Chip says he'll be there in 10 minutes with the new pilot, and Hawk starts shouting, there's no way he'll be there in 10 minutes, but Chip hangs up on him because no one in movies
also,
ever hangs
they
up.
don't.
They don't ever say goodbye.
Yeah, guys, go on and watch any movie, when anyone hangs up a phone, they never say bye.
And also, Chip reassures Hal, oh, you know what? Hawk grows on you. It's fine. Hal charges up his ring. We hear the Green Lantern oath. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light. And then he finally has to decide how he's going to handle the situation. And Chip says, you know what? Can you keep a secret?
AGL.
My real name's Francis, not Chip. And Hal says, you know what? I'll keep your secret if you keep mine. It's fine. Although his secret's obviously much bigger and better, but it's a nice gesture on Chip's part. Cut to Hal and Chip at the airfield being welcomed into elite design consultants, the Gremlins.
Oh.
Dex's only rule is to stay out of my tools and my beer cooler. Why is he drinking beer on the job?
Yeah, why is he doing that? Doesn't he work with planes? Like, these are very...
Oh, you know what? That actually makes perfect sense. All right, and then Al says she needs Hal's social security, medical forms, copy of his pilot license, and a quart of his blood.
Why a quart of his blood?
Why a quart of his blood?
Why any blood?
Do you know how much a quart is?
That's a lot of blood.
That is so much blood.
Like, you go to the grocery store and you're like, I need a quart of milk. That's a whole lot of blood.
Is she a vampire?
Yeah, like, no one has ever requested blood.
Look, doing a blood test is fine. I understand needing to do a blood test, especially if you're flying planes, whatever. Make sure they're sober.
Yeah, I guess
That's
so.
a necessary
Well, look,
thing.
your mechanic is drinking on the job.
Someone should be sober then.
Someone should be sober there.
But like a quart, it's like that episode of Archer where they draw a gill of his blood.
In fact, like, that'll probably do more damage than good. Like, all right, we've taken a quart of your blood. Now get in this dangerous vehicle. He's just like, I'm passing out.
Meanwhile, Hawk, watches them all saying hello to Hal and thinks, it's odd that Hal and Chip got here so fast. Something about this Jordan fellow irks me. He's going to keep his eye on Hal Jordan.
He's going to be their foil.
Exactly. And that's the end of the issue.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just like a really solid, like, hey, here's who Green Lantern is. If you didn't know, which, like, we kind of do, but, like, we know. Because
it's a nice reintroduction of the character.
Exactly, yeah.
And I kind of love that status quo.
Me too. I've never heard of it, is
and
the
I mean,
thing.
like,
so, like, I don't know if these characters are still in... I don't read Green Lantern comics, not for any particular reason.
I haven't read them for a while. I read them when they were doing their, like, now famous, like, every color is a lantern now, where they were like, we've got orange lanterns and red lanterns
but he's
and
in
purple
space
lanterns.
in that whole mission, so, like, we don't know what his supporting cast is like. I don't know if these people are still around. I hope they are.
All I know about Green Lantern is mostly him interacting with Sinestro, the most on-the-nose name ever, and a lot of weird alien
Kilowog.
people. Kilowog is great.
Yep.
Really, all his friends are just alien people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Pretty much.
Meh.
That's the comic. That's what we got.
That's it. Well, Mike, that was an enjoyable main segment. And I would love to check out Chip and Hal and their amazing adventures.
Rescue
Lanterns.
Thank you.
Lanterns,
That's what it was.
Now, we're going to be going on to our game, Super-Mundane. All right, this is Super-Mundane. This is the game where I will name a mundane task, occupation, or activity, and Mike and I will have to decide which superhero of Marvel or DC would be the best and worst at this.
The best and the worst are two different superheroes, not the same superhero.
Right, that's true. Now, the Super-Mundane for this episode is, who would be the best and who would be the worst, Wingman or Wingwoman?
Okay. Not Hal Jordan.
No. I think we gotta go for somebody who's a little bit more unassuming.
Yeah.
Who's entertaining but unassuming. Which, like, you can't be doing, like, Steve Rogers, because they're gonna want to hear about his war stories and stuff.
I mean, Black Widow did try to wingman him pretty hard.
Ooh,
in
that's true.
Winter Soldier, but, like, we never saw her do it well, is the thing. We've also named her for something good before. But
That's true. Silver Surfer, if you're into aliens.
Hellcat? Patsy Walker's, like, a good person at your side. We saw that in Jessica Jones.
That's true.
Is it just because we were talking about her?
Just because we were talking about her? I feel like it's a cheat, Mike.
That's not cheating if you get the answers from the book you're reading during the test.
Yes, that is inherently cheating.
Oh, Blue Beetle, Ted Cord.
Oh, yeah.
Ted Cord would be a dope wingman.
Ted Cord would be the best.
Yeah.
He is inherently a wingman all the time.
Yeah.
For Booster Gold.
And if you're going to be a wingman for Booster Gold, you can be a good wingman for anybody.
Yeah, because Booster Gold needs a lot of help. Also, like, he would set you up on pretty great dates because the guy's rich. He's got connections.
That's true.
And you could arrive to your date in a giant Blue Beetle, which is pretty awesome.
Why would you not want that?
I think Ted is a pretty solid choice. He's also got fun gadgets. Like, hey, I can make the room lasers. I don't know, right? That's like
What?
That's a cool date date
your
thing,
mind
right?
like, Jay?
That's not how normal dates go, where you want to just make just a couple lasers.
Make a room lasers.
Just a bunch of lasers.
The room is lasers.
The room is lasers, everybody.
It's
you know
like
what that
the
means.
adult version of floor is lava.
Time to get a little closer together because this floor is lasers now.
It's admirable the way you're defending this.
Mike, I'm not backing out of this. I am digging as deep into it as I possibly can.
Jay has a fever.
I have gone insane. You look purple right now.
So do you, but for different reasons.
Oh, so yeah, I think Ted Kord, for all the great reasons I just gave.
Or just because he's a charming, delightful character.
Yeah, he is. So Blue Beetle for the best. So who would be our worst wingman? Now, we've said Hal would be bad. We said Tony Stark would be bad.
Thought about Batman.
Batman?
But I feel like Batman's still the best at everything.
Booster Gold? No.
I thought about that. I actually thought about that. What's Booster Gold's real name?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't like him very much. He has a little. I like his robot though. Skeets.
Skeets would be a better wingman.
Skeets would be a better wingman. Too bad there's not. Maybe there's a solo comic for just called Skeets.
Oh.
All new Skeets.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah.
I think we're going about this the wrong way. It's not about necessarily showing you up. It's about like who would overshare the bad things about you. Who would be like, oh yeah, here's my buddy and he's got this and he just paid off his credit card debt, and it's like, all right, you didn't need to go that far.
Too much.
I mean, Angel, right? Wouldn't Angel be pretty bad at like everything?
Angel's pretty terrible at everything.
But he's also rich.
But he'd be a bad wingman though, wouldn't he? Oh, I guess he'd like buy out the bar or something like that.
Are we gonna make a wingman pun about Angel?
Oh, we're
so close to it.
Oh boy.
Oh, we're dancing around it.
Can we get that low?
Oh.
How low can we get?
I mean, Hawkeye. He's kind of just a human dumpster fire.
Yeah, he's just the worst. He's going to cause a horrible problem to occur. He's going to start wingmanning and then make everyone hate you.
Make everyone very uncomfortable in some way.
Yeah, like Kate Bishop, that Hawkeye would be a great wingman.
Oh yeah, but Clint Barton.
But Clint Barton is
just
terrible.
a wet hot mess.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I think Clint Barton would be a terrible wingman.
And he's an unassuming bad choice.
Yeah.
Because yes,
like Clint, you've dated a bunch of girls and like, people like you.
Been
and
married a bunch of times.
That's true. He has been married.
But you know what? He's not presently married. That should tell you some stuff.
Yeah, and like most of his exes, Clint Barton has a very sordid, terrible romantic past.
Yeah, all of his exes work together.
Yeah.
He's not smart.
No. Yeah,
like,
no,
and his girlfriend at the time worked with them too. So, like, what did he think was going to happen?
Yeah, he doesn't think through the steps of the things that he does.
He doesn't think anything through. Yeah.
No, yeah, he would be a terrible wingman, and I'm sure someone terrible will show up because he did something terrible earlier.
Yeah, Madame Mask. It's like you're trying to talk him up.
Or
to Madame Mask.
tracksuit Draculas will show up and.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Or regular Dracula. He's an Avenger. Things do happen.
Wait, what?
Dracula's a thing in the Marvel universe.
Did you see Dracula's an Avenger?
No, I mean Hawkeye's an Avenger.
Okay.
These things do happen.
There are certain things in comics I'm like, yeah, sure. But like, I thought you said Dracula was like an Avenger. Like someone would go through the roster and be like, who should we call? We've got Hulk, we've got Iron Man,
Look,
we've got Dracula.
if Hulk's on that list, then Dracula might as well be.
I guess that's also fair.
What are you really?
Should we call the giant rage monster that so many times has destroyed the city?
There have been so many Hulks on that list, man.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. All right. So Clint Barton. So our best is going to be Ted Kord, and our worst is going to be Clint Barton.
As it always should have been.
All right, guys. Well, that was episode 45 of Because Comics.
You listeners don't understand how much we cut, how long it took us to
It took us a very long time to get to Clint Barton, everyone, and you get the shorter version. And that was episode 45 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all at Partial Arc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder Mike Christensen at partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday.
That's true.
Thanks for listening, and remember,
only you can prevent Transformers sequels.
I was like, oh man, Smokey the Bear. Oh wait, something far more pressing to this day and age.
Yeah.
Because comics.